We're here with Ashley Sword, coach of Life University's women's wrestling team, for one of our Women's Wednesday segments. Just wanted to talk a little bit about your experience as a woman coaching women's wrestling and your path to get to the point where now you're leading young women in college wrestling. I'd like to start with the beginning of your career in life and as an athlete. Did you ever think coaching would be a part of what you would do as a professional when you were done with wrestling?
I didn't, but that's because there weren't very many female coaches when I was coming up. None. When I was a senior in high school and went to the USGWA national tournament in 2001, which dates me significantly, Stephanie Murata was the head coach of University of the Cumberlands. I believe it had a different name at that point, but then before I could even think about going there, she had, I believe, moved to the Olympic Training Center and started training. So at that point, there weren't really any female coaches around. And so I joke with parents a lot that this is the dream that I never thought I had, because I didn't think it was a possibility. And so when the opportunity came up to apply for the job at Life, it was a not dream come true, because it was a chance that I never even believed could exist. So it's exciting to see that it is so possible for women now to be able to get into coaching.
Yeah, it's certainly a different scene we're in today. And yet the young people don't always know the history, do they?
No, they don't. We tried this last week, and I've been really thinking about just what it was like coming through since we first tried to talk. And I don't know that I realized the significance of some small moments with Trisha Saunders, that she would come to the Olympic Training Center and would help coach. And obviously I had Terry, and Terry's amazing, but just some of those moments with Trisha, even now, in December when we were at the Olympic trials qualifier, I saw Trisha and we were talking about coaching things. And, I joke that she's kind of like my wrestling mom. And I don't think I realized how important that was at 19, 20 years old, to have somebody that I could look to or would have those talks with.
So as an athlete, you must have had the ability to learn how to learn the sport and get better with men coaching you. And as a young woman being coached by male coaches, what was that experience like? Because it's not just wrestling where there's a lot of men coaching girls and women.
Mm-hmm. I think, as much as wrestling is wrestling, is as much as it's different. I am super flexible, and something that might work on a guy wouldn't necessarily work on me, because I'm so flexible. And so having to translate some things that maybe for no fault of their own, the male coaches just didn't realize, hey, that's going to be a little bit different, or that's going to affect it different, or being able to feel comfortable having conversations about the girl things, or, just talking like, this is how our bodies are, and getting older, and how weight change affects you during different times of the month and different times of the year. And all of those things, you can build that relationship with a male coach, but sometimes it's hard to have more intimate conversations. So I know that part was difficult. On the mat I don't think that, I don't believe I ever had a male coach that didn't push me because I was female. But I think that just some of the extra things, we didn't have, just if for no other reason, they didn't know that they needed to talk about or needed to ask.
So was there ever like a tour or a team where you really did have a chance to spend considerable time with a coach who was female, or a former wrestler who was female that helped you out?
Gosh, I didn't. I had the unfortunate joy of, I think, being the athletic training room's MVP during my time as a competitive athlete. And so I spent a lot of time in the training room. And so, didn't get to compete a lot overseas. When I went to Pan Am's one of the opportunities that I had. I mean, and it was an amazing opportunity, but it was Coach Izzy and Coach Kevin Black were with us. And they are amazing. And, Coach Kevin and I still talk. We actually were just talking a little bit on Facebook today, but I never really got that mentorship. And it was hard too, because the women that would have been my mentors in any other situation, because let's face it, I only wrestled for 2 years in high school, wrestled for season-ish in college, and then pretty much moved to the Olympic Training Center. And so now to think of someone only wrestling for 3 years, moving to the Olympic Training Center is laughable. I almost, I was still a top-ranked athlete, but at 3 years into wrestling, did I have any business being on the mat with Christy and Iris and Katie and Sarah and Sally? Probably not. But so those women who could have been my mentors were now now they were my coworkers, so to speak. We were on the same level. They were my peers. And so it's hard for a 19, 20-year-old to look at a peer and say, hey, I should learn lessons from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's wild. Now, you wrestled and, you had a run of success. You made national teams, obviously, the experience was a big part of your life, but you went and got into the real world for a while, right? Talk a little bit about what the real world is like. I've never been in the real world.
There are many days that I do not recommend the real world. Though to be fair, there are some days where I don't necessarily recommend the coaching world too. Yeah. But so when I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts after spending about 8 years in college. So some people become doctors in that time. I learned how to paint really pretty pictures, so that was fine. But it was very hard for me to get a job in that field. And so I was bartending for a while, and I worked in Oklahoma's Department of Human Services, which is food stamps and Medicaid eligibility, which was a really great experience and a lot of learning, but a very hard experience because no one ever comes in on their best day into that department to see someone. So it was really hard in that sense, but very rewarding to be able to help people, and also learned a lot while I was there. And then I ended up getting a master's of public health and epidemiology, and studying how diseases travel through populations, which before, 3 months ago, I don't think I could have said epidemiology and most people would know what that meant. But now it's become as commonplace as, lawyer, doctor, and in potential jobs. And so I went to school for that and really enjoyed that and really enjoyed the work I was doing, and was looking at I was pursuing the route of getting a PhD and getting a doctor of veterinary medicine. I wanted to work at the Center of Disease Control. I was working at a veterinary clinic to get that experience to go into the veterinary medicine field. I wanted to work with zoonotic diseases and see with those relationships between us and animals. And then, I was volunteering at Life while I was working at the animal hospital and studying for the GRE, and this just happened. So, I mean, I loved it, and it really did. It was just sort of like, poof, here we are. So the cards all fell together for me in ways that I could have never expected. But, I loved what I was doing, and I loved being able to help people, and I learned so much, but I wouldn't trade this for anything.
So when you were at Life, initially volunteering, Dave Matthews was coaching, and
right.
He's here with us at USA Wrestling now on our staff. Did you enjoy the chance to really put your hands on athletes and show them moves and do some of the things as a female coach that never was available for you?
I did, partially because I'm a wrestler and I just enjoy that, partially because it was nice to be able to do those things, but then also I didn't have to do them the whole time because I'm the coach now and I can breathe, which was really exciting for me. It was really good for me to have that time under Dave, and for a couple different reasons. A lot of it, he talked to me about some of it, but for a lot of it, it was really a training. I kind of felt like I was more of a training partner than hands-on as a true coach with the CEO business aspect of things. As far as the practice room and the team and things like that, that was very coach-like. But the bonus paperwork nobody ever tells you about, there's a lot of it. So now I tell everybody about it. But the chance to see how a head coach operates, and I took a lot of things from Dave that I liked, and there were some things that work for Dave but don't work for me. And so being able to take those experiences and look at them through a better filter than as an athlete. You see things as an athlete from your coaches that you like or you don't like, that you don't understand, and sometimes those experiences are clouded because of whether you were happy or not at the time. And so I think it was really good for me to have that couple of years to learn and to grow some. And so when I took over, I won't say that I don't know that I was ready, but I was as ready as I guess I could have been.
Sure.
So.
So what were the big surprises, and maybe some of the big rewards when you became head coach? It's a different role, right?
It's very different. It's very, very different. So the first thing that, I guess, I don't know that it surprised me, but the second that it happened, I was suddenly hit with the gravity of, I have this team, which at the time was significantly smaller than it is now. I think we had 10 to 15 girls that were on the team at the time, but I was hit with these young women, their hopes and dreams of their wrestling now lie on me, and they're going to look to me for a lot. And that is that's very heavy. And I don't say that in a bad way, but it's something that drives me in my decisions every day, because I understand that as a coach, I carry a lot of that. And so I don't know that it was a surprise, but at the same time, I didn't realize how deeply it would affect me. I say it jokingly, but the paperwork 100% was a surprise. I would say, probably 60% is management, and whether it's travel or gear or food or officials or, training, what the training as far as going through HR training every year and those different types of things. Not that I was unprepared, but I was blown away. And I think the first year, it's getting better now. Now I'm going into year 4. So I feel like it's getting, less bad. I should say less bad. My athletic director says it's less bad, so I'll take that. But I just kind of made stuff up sometimes because I didn't know what was supposed to happen, sort of as the process is. And so I never did anything. I don't know that I did anything wrong, but sometimes it was, I'm just going to try it this way because I don't know any other way. So that part was difficult. The best thing is the girls. Well, the women. I mean, the girls, they joke and they call me mom. So I've told them that I'm going to call them my girls until they stop calling me mom. But they are young women and they are adults, but they still have a lot of growing to do. And to be able to have one person trust you and say, hey, you're going to be my coach. I'm going to look to you to help me through school, to help me through college, to help me through the years of 18 to 22, which are just, baffling in general for anyone, let alone an athlete who's trying to, make an Olympic team maybe one day, an athlete that's going to push themselves every day, plus the school part. That's an amazing thing. And, wrestlers are competitors always. We always want to win, but I get so much more joy from watching them get their hands raised or watching them finish a move that they've never finished before than I ever got when I was competing. And I love to win, but to be able to see them do it and to be able to see them get grades they didn't think they were going to get, like those, and to watch them graduate. We had our virtual graduation for 2 of our athletes. I mean, the whole school graduated, but for 2 of our athletes. And I'm, watching their pictures flip across the screen, crying in my house because here's these two young women who had very different journeys and ended up as All-Americans, ended up as scholar athletes, and now they're graduating and now they're moving on. And it's so rewarding and it's so wonderful to be able to see and to be able to be a part of those journeys. For one person would be amazing, but now for this year we're looking at having 40 ladies on our team. And so for that, like it's a little bit breathtaking, and it takes me back a little bit. And then I feel like my hair gets a little gray because I already know what's coming with, with 40 of them, but it's also very exciting.
So there's so many opportunities now in women's wrestling. The college scene's growing, NAIA, you've got yourself Invitational, the NCAA just got emerging sports status, and 70 or more college programs among all the different levels. And we're seeing more women that are coaching, but it's still not, as many as maybe you would like or that we could or should have. What do you think it'll take to get more women to be college wrestling coaches in women's wrestling?
I think one, understanding that the opportunities are there. I still have some athletes that reach out in high school, and they're surprised to find that there's a female head coach at Life. A lot of times we'll be at tournaments recruiting, some high school tournaments, and they'll immediately go to Christian because they assume that he's the head coach. And Christian's wonderful and amazing, and we run things very much together, but there's this deference too, because he's the guy, he's the one that's, sort of leading the charge. And that's not to take anything away from Christian. It's just, that's what they assume because that's the norm. And so I think one, letting them know, hey, that these possibilities do exist, I think is really important. I'm very fortunate at Life in that our women's team it's separate from our men's team. We have an amazing men's team, and Coach Acosta does a great job, but our team is separate. So we have a completely separate program and a completely separate coaching staff and separate budget. Everything is, encapsulated within itself. And I think, and that in itself is important. My position's a full-time position. So all I do is coach. Well, I say that. So coaching entails a lot of things, right? So all I do is coach and tutor and, credit card reconciliation and fundraise and all of those things. But that's my sole job. And we have a lot of programs. And I don't know on the men's side. I just don't know. But I know on the women's side, a lot of these positions are part-time or aren't paid very well. And so it's difficult to get people in, especially women who have gone to college and gotten degrees with the hopes of, being very successful in their career field. And so why would you take a huge pay cut, or why would you have a part-time job when you can start your career? So I think getting schools to really celebrate the women's programs as their own entity and to see what they can be is important. I think that as we start to look at, like you said, women's wrestling is growing so much. I'm hoping that there will be schools that come up that are more like Life, that, we're right outside of Atlanta. We're in a big city. We're not a large school, but we're in a metropolitan area. And so many of the schools are in very small towns, and it's hard to, that's a hard sell for anyone to, move to kind of a small country town if you're from a larger metropolitan area. And we know that a lot of our high school athletes are, right? Like, part of the reason that we hear so many people wrestle, male and female, is to, like, it's what's kept them out of trouble. It's what's kept them on the streets. But there aren't a lot of streets in the small country areas. So being able to get some places that are colleges in areas that are a little more appealing to the wide variety of things, because then you have a spouse who needs to get a job, and it might be hard to get a job in a very small town. And so looking at how to build those things, I think it's more than just the women. There's the infrastructure as a whole, and I think just time. We're finally getting to the point that, my sort of cohort of women, I talked about, Sally is obviously working with, she is Wrestle Like a Girl. That is Sally's baby. Sally is everything for that. But Sally is that is it. But that means she's not coaching in college, right? But Christy Davis is coaching, Coach Durkin up at Gannon is coaching. But these are women that were all sort of in that same time period of, we finally have sort of aged into coaching. So now I think as long as we keep pushing our athletes, who are not just good athletes, but are good people and who are highly motivated, and I think part of it's going to be not forcefully, but gosh, intentionally pushing them towards coaching and explaining that this is a role that's important and that we need them in. I think it's important, that intentionality.
So we just had a crazy year in life, but in women's wrestling too, right? You guys had an opportunity to get a national tournament when you hosted the WCWAs, um, which was an Olympic qualifier as well. But then your girls were on their way to the nationals for NAIA and they canceled it, right?
Right.
I mean, what was that like for you as a coach and specifically for your athletes that had worked the whole season to have this national tournament?
It was devastating is pretty much the only way to put it. And I honestly don't know if I did a good job of helping them. I tried. I really did. Um, because it became a snowball very quickly. So our trip to Jamestown was already eventful. So instead of getting in at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., the whole team, or actually I think it was supposed to be 2, the whole team didn't even get into Jamestown until 1 a.m. For a variety of reasons. And then we were supposed to work out the next day. And we woke up and said, okay, they didn't get in till late. So we're going to push our last workout, our weight cut workout a little longer. And then I got a message saying we're going to reduce the amount of fans. And then I got a message that said there's going to be no fans. And this is within an hour, limited fans, no fans. And then we saw that the NCAA, I think it's the regionals for the basketball tournament had been canceled. And we knew already that was going downhill. And it was maybe 15 minutes later that we got the message that it was done. And so we called all the athletes into my room and told them and, explained what was going on and the severity of the situation across the country and across the world. And I don't know that I did a good job in that moment, empathizing with them as much as I wanted to. I wanted them to know that it wasn't being taken away for a frivolous reason. But I think in that moment I didn't do a great job of saying how important it was to them. Fortunately, I have a group of very strong girls, very strong women who were able to figure that out for themselves. And so they really rallied around each other. We had 2 seniors this year, and for them really it was the most heartbreaking because they had placed 3rd and 4th at the WCWA tournament. They were both seeded going into the NAIA tournament. They were very excited, and we had worked on a lot of things and been fine tuning and tweaking, and then we get there and it's just a stop. And so in the times after that initial reaction, we really tried to focus on them and not think about the madness. We tried to have a thumb wrestling tournament in gloves with hand sanitizer. It was a whole deal in the lobby until we got kicked out of the lobby, so it's fine. And then we explored Jamestown, which I would like to have taken longer, but it did not take as long as I maybe would have liked it to. But, they dressed up in their formal wear and we went and had pizza, and we tried to really just talk through what does this mean and use it. We did talk about and use it as this lesson of, I'm so glad that our seniors had the WCWA tournament and they went out on they really did go out on a high note. Everybody wants to win, right? But 3rd and 4th isn't so bad. Like it's still pretty good. And so to know that they had worked so hard and hit this point, it really emphasized that it can be taken away at any time. And, anything that you love can be taken away at any time. So never to take it for granted. And then we worked with Victoria and with Julia, Victoria Francis, who that Christian and I coach, but who also this year was our Tara Vanderveer Women's Sports Foundation. We won a grant from them for women in coaching. And so Victoria was with us and helping us coach the ladies. But then, then Olympic trials were postponed, and then the Olympics were postponed, and it was this whole snowball. So then working with Vic and working with Julia and just talking through what does it look like, and hey, it's okay to take a break now as we figure out what's going on. But it was a very emotional, tumultuous time. Knowing my ladies, it brought them closer together because after After we left Jamestown, we were stuck there, gosh, for almost 5 days, pretty much in the hotel, not doing a whole lot except putting puzzles together. And then we got home and I love you all, but I don't want to see you again for a few days. It's fine. And I, went on to social media and they were all still hanging out that night. So I'm glad that they love each other to still be around each other after 5 days of 24 hours a day time together.
Well, that's crazy. Wow. So, hey, a couple little things. WCWA tournament that's moving forward. What's the future of that deal?
I don't know. And we're talking about it a lot now. I know that a big part of it the talks have been sort of set aside because of the zombie apocalypse that is upon us. But I think it's going to start to move towards an all division tournament where it's just, hey, it's a really good tournament and it's not necessarily a membership organization. It's, hey, here's this here's this great invitational tournament. But we really don't know. And honestly, I think a big part of it, not to put the cards in USA Wrestling's court, but is the importance that USA Wrestling puts on the tournament helps coaches decide how important it is. If it's a World Team Trials qualifier, I bet it'll still happen. If it's not, then that makes it a little bit more difficult to sell.
Sure. Another unrelated question. Competing on the beach and going overseas to the United States. Talk a little bit about the experience of going to that first, World Beach Games. That's a first, right?
It was a first, and that was its own set of tumultuous circumstances because we set the team and then, San Diego loses the games. And so then we don't know if we're even going to get to go. And what does that look like? And then we find out it's moving over to Qatar. And so, we have spots. And, fortunately for the women's team, we did. We were able to have our full delegation. And it was really exciting to be able to, as always, represent the country and represent my institution that I coach for. Wrestling on the beach is its own monster. Every sand is different. And so no matter how much you train in sand A, sand B will be different and sand C will be different. And sometimes A, B, and C are all next to each other. So then you trip in the sand. But we were competing, alongside the Persian Gulf, and the crowds were rowdy. And when the sun went down, it was nice. When the sun was up, it was 100 degrees. And I thought I was going to die a little bit because it was just so hot. But it was an amazing experience. The city of Doha it's so different because when you're downtown, there are these amazing, almost space age like buildings. The architecture is I've never seen anything like it. Just, it's not a straight up and down type of building. There are these skyscrapers that have these crazy curves and felt a little bit like I was in a Star Wars movie. But then you go 15 minutes outside of downtown and you're in these historical areas, these traditional areas, and it's night and day. You feel like you've been transported back 500 years or longer, and so probably thousands of years. And so to see those things right next to each other was really mind-blowing. And for me to be able to, my athletes broke me across on the other side of the country, or on the other side of the world. They secretly got a bunch of notes packed into my luggage that I didn't know that they had put in there. So I lied to TSA when I told them that I had packed my own bag, apparently, because in the midst of my scale and my peanut butter and my oatmeal were all of these handwritten notes from my team wishing me good luck and, kind of telling me the same things that I tell them. And it was really funny to see them. It was funny, but it was exciting to see how much they've embraced those messages. And the athlete who likes to hear that she's the meanest chick on the planet and she can go kick somebody's tail, that's what her message looked like. But the athlete who needs a hug and wants me to tell them that I love them before they step on the mat, that's what her note looked like. And so to know that they were so excited and they were watching, on the internet and posting things on social media I saw more random pictures of myself. I was like, what, shouldn't you be in class? What are you doing right now? But it was really, it really meant a lot. It was exciting to represent the country, and I'm excited to watch beach wrestling keep growing because it is it is a lot of fun. It is so different. It's like if Greco and judo had a baby, I sort of feel like, except with sand. From what I've read with the IOC and UWW, it looks like that's what the push is for 2024 for women would be beach wrestling. I don't know if you can confirm or deny that, but that's what I've gotten from reading.
What we're hearing.
And so, our team loves it. We get out there and we cross train and we play in the sand. They get big bruises on their ankles from foot sweeping each other all the time. So to be able to bring a little bit more of a platform to that part of the sport was exciting. But really to feel like I made my athletes proud, was really important to me. So,
and just for the record, that was a tough tournament.
So let's talk about that because I was watching every Beach World Series match that came up, watching and studying film and going through things and, adjusting and all the things you would do for a normal match. And then when the pools came out, when the athlete roster came out, so Christian was coaching me at home. And so he said, don't even look at it. It doesn't matter. You're going to be fine. Okay. So I get out there and my first match was against the world silver medalist from Freestyle Worlds, like 2 months before, that had wrestled Victoria. And I just, like, what is happening? So a senior world silver medalist, like a U23 gold medalist, like, just everybody was like, oh, I did a European champion. I was like, I am retired. What happened to all the other people? Why is everyone here ranked in the top 15 in the world right now? Where are the other people like me? So it was amazingly tough.
It's a good challenge for all of us, right? You're the one that got her done.
I mean, it was good. I unfortunately, I went out and I actually hurt myself the night before because, may as well continue the joy of being the most injured athlete on the planet. So I actually tore my meniscus the night before I left, and didn't realize I had torn it, just taped it up and wrestled through it because that's what you do, right? The day before you're supposed to go overseas. And so that was fun on the sand too, trying to handle that balance. But, it's been good, I think, for my athletes also to see that sometimes in the midst of things, injuries happen or something bad happens and you have to bounce back from it. So they got to see me train. They got to see me get frustrated in training, so frustrated. They got to see me, run myself until I thought I was going to fall down. They got to see me be sad because I was eating squash all the time because I was trying to make sure that my diet was right. Then they got to see what it looks like to recover from surgery, after, get ready for surgery, recover from surgery. How do you bounce back from that? So I think, as much as I love the experience for myself, I'm really excited that I got to have it for my team because I hope that they were able to take a lot from it by watching me do all the things that I am constantly harping to them about.
What was cool, our medalist was another women's college coach, huh?
Yep. So I think that's important. I think it's not, it's important to see us do it, but more so in the fact that I'm not just telling you to do this because I think it's a good idea. I'm not telling you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself or I wouldn't focus on myself. And I think those are the lessons that are really important for any athlete, honestly.
Yeah. So how's your team coming up when they let us start wrestling again?
They are excited. They are so excited. Like I said, we're looking at having 40 on the roster, which is, gosh, a lot. But we're excited to have them. We're bringing back, like I said, most of our team. We graduated 2 seniors, Erica Sotelo and Asia Cortez. So both were highly ranked all year. So it hurts us to lose them. But we're bringing in some tough ladies out of New York. We're bringing in half of the Texas State Championship team from El Paso. We've got some really tough girls coming out of California. We have a Romanian U23 junior world team member coming, or U23 and junior world team member coming in. So we've got some firepower to the ladies that we already have. So excited to see how they all mesh together. I'm always nervous because, oh, and we always have girls coming out of Florida because Florida is my stomping ground. So if I don't get girls out of Florida, I feel like I'm not doing my job. I'm a little nervous because normally Christian and I really pride ourselves on our team is very relational, both our coaches for the athletes with each other, and that we recruit people first. Not we don't just want good athletes, we want good people. I want ladies on the team that we all want to be around. I think that's important, and that want to be together as a team. And so we've talked a lot on the phone, but we haven't met most of our ladies in person. And so as much as I feel like we're going to be good, and I'm 99% sure we're going to be good, there's that 1% of a little bit nervous because I haven't met them. I haven't met their parents. We haven't been able to sit down and really have conversations, but they are all so excited. They, we have group chat set up that they're talking. We have 2 graduate assistants that will be coming in, both that are graduates from college programs. I don't want to say who they are right now because we haven't officially announced it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But one's both are All-Americans. One was a national finalist, and so to be able to get ladies like that of that caliber back in the room that are from other programs, I think that's important to get a fresh feel in and to get another voice and to have those ladies when they met us and be a part of our program to see that they're so excited about what we're doing. I think says a lot. It's been important to us to really build. Every team has a culture, whether it's a good one or a bad one. I've heard coaches say, "Oh, my team doesn't have a culture." No, they have a culture. It's just not the culture you want. And we've really tried hard to really build this culture of effort is what matters, and working hard and loving each other and putting the team first. And our athletic director, Jamie Pendergast, which that's something different too. We have a female athletic director. And so for us, that's really amazing because she gives the ladies another outlook of, hey, not only can I be a coach, but I can be the head administrator in college athletics. And she's used to being the only woman in the room, sort of like most of our ladies are used to being the only girl in the wrestling room. And so then what does that look like as it moves forward and you build those things? I'm just really excited. I cannot wait until September 28th because we start later than everyone else. So that's their move-in day, and get them here and start watching film and going over their hopes and dreams and fears and handing out t-shirts. And we're getting some new singlets from Adidas that I'm really excited about. So I'm excited to try and leave the madness of the year behind in the negative, but hopefully take from it a lot of positives, a lot of positive change and growth and that we've seen from things that are going on.
Well, hey, I've really enjoyed visiting. We're going to have a nice video to post tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing your team when they're able to wrestle, and I really appreciate your leadership in wrestling. Thank you.
My pleasure, Gary. Thanks for believing in me since I was 19.
Yeah, I always thought you were on the good direction there. You may not have known it, but
it was sometimes good directions look like this, and you don't realize it in the dips. So, but thank you for always having faith in me.
Well, we'll talk again soon. Be well.
Sounds good. Thank you, Gary.
Bye-bye.